Yosemite has always been a very special place for me. It is a place that has always given me what I need in that moment. Every time that I've gone to Yosemite, it's given me perspective as to what is going on in my own life, in my own head, and the things that I'm experiencing. It's important as a creative to find that thing that helps us reset, that helps us disconnect from all the tech, all the notifications, and get outside, go hiking, go rock climbing. Maybe it's just going outdoors for a day, sitting in the sun and doing nothing. It's incredibly important as a creative to find that thing and disconnect and build that into your routine and know when your alarms are going off and you need to reset. There have been some big changes in my life that have happened recently, and I found myself operating at 100, 110, 120%. And I got to a point to where I was just tired. My body was telling me that I needed a break. I was sleeping in, I was noticing my eating habits start to decline. And those are usually the first cues for me where, okay, I need to give myself some time and give myself some self-love. Self-love sounds a little bit cheesy. I need to pay attention to my body and to give myself a little bit of self-care. In each moment, that self-care and what that looks like may be different. In this case, it was going to Yosemite, a place that has always brought me calm and perspective on what is going on in life. Sometimes it just helps to get outside, get into fresh air, as cliche as that sounds, and give yourself literal and figurative space to breathe and to distract yourself for a while from the problems that you have or from the things and the obstacles that you're trying to tackle. In this regard, distraction is healthy, it is useful. When distraction becomes avoidance, then it becomes unhealthy. But to distract yourself for enough time to give yourself some peace and to find perspective when you come back and return to your daily life is completely healthy, and I would encourage it. Switching gears to literally gear, for my photographer and videographer friends, I typically bring two cameras. At least right now in this period of my life, I am loving shooting film, as you can see via the Ektar 100 film scans that I've been showing. And I typically also bring a digital camera to take photos, but really primarily video. And so that looks like my A7S III. In this moment, I wanted to see if an A7 IV could replace both of those cameras for me, and I could just bring one camera. And so that was my goal headed into this trip as far as like gear and creative wise. Obviously my primary goal is to just get some space for myself to think and to relax. But then secondary is camera. And this is how I rig it out, or how I have it set up when I travel. I typically don't have the tripod plate that's on it right now. I'll take that off. But other than that, I like the cage because it provides a little bit of protection, and also you can strip it down and it doesn't really create too much more of a footprint when you just have the cage on the camera. And so aside from that, I have the Polar Pro Recon VND on here. It's a 3 to 6 stop VND. I also have the mist filter, which attaches to the front. This is something that maybe I'll review in the future, but I really enjoy and love this piece of kit. A VND, and then also has a mist filter on top of that. This is a 24-70 Sigma 2.8 lens. It is big, but I love it. The alternative is a 28-70, which is a lot smaller and probably more suitable for something like hiking or traveling in general. The only other lens that I will use right now is the 24-1.4 G Master lens, which that is what is filming me right now on my A7S III. Aside from that, that's pretty much my entire kit, and that allows me to do pretty much anything that I want. As far as the settings that I use, I always shoot everything in S-Log3 as gamut setting because I want the most dynamic range out of all of my clips. And so I'll shoot that. I'll turn on the view assist in all of the Sony cameras. That way I can see an approximation on the screen as far as what the exposure is gonna look like. And it's actually not that far off. It pays to listen to the histogram that is displayed on the screen. But outside from that, typically expose based on what the screen is telling me, usually around 1 to 1.7 stops overexposed. I'm always following the 180-degree shutter rule, and that is just that whatever your frame rate is, multiply that times 2 and put that in the denominator of your shutter speed. Example being, if I'm shooting at 24 frames a second, then I am shooting at 1/50th of a shutter speed. If I'm shooting at 60 frames per second, then I'm shooting at 1/25th of a second for shutter speed. Lastly, I will bounce around in the types of codecs that I'm using. I'm typically shooting in 4K and 24 frames per second. On the A7S III, I can shoot all the way up 4K to 120 frames per second. And I don't do that often. There are a few clips that you've seen in that video that are at 120 frames, but typically I'm either at 4K 24 or 4K 60. As far as codecs go, I'm usually bouncing around 4K 24, 4K 60 in the XAVC HS, which is the high efficiency codec H.265, or I'm shooting in XAVC S, gotta make sure that I got that one correct, the XAVC S codec, which both of those are great. I haven't really seen any differences that are significant between the three. If I'm shooting something where I absolutely want the most dynamic range and the best flexibility in the footage, then I will occasionally shoot in the XAVC-SI, which is the highest bitrate, and I think requires that you shoot it to CF Express Type A cards. And so that's my setup that I use really all of the time. Wrapping this up, take this as a reminder to get outside, use getting outside, hiking, rock climbing, whatever that it is, getting outdoors as a way to reset when you are feeling like you might be burning out, or when you are feeling overwhelmed and stressed out with the daily tasks of either running a business, being a creative, or all of the above. Don't forget to get outside. It can give you a renewed perspective and renewed energy to approach the obstacles, the challenges that you may be facing. My name is David J. Orozco, and I'm all about mindful creativity. And simply put, that is just intentionally creating habits surrounding creativity and life in general to minimize burnout. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.